I have never stuck with anything in my life as long and as consistently as strength training. And when I discovered Olympic weightlifting, nothing else mattered. I was hooked and had one thing in mind: get better. No big goals, no dreams of joining the national team or going to the Olympics. I just wanted to keep on putting 1 more kilo on the bar. After a few years of training, I ended up hitting 110 in the snatch, 130 in the clean and jerk, and 150 in the back squat. I trained 5 times a week and the training program followed the principles of the German Federation. But progress stopped. Especially my legs were always the biggest problem. I remember that I cleaned 118 before I could even front squat it. And even though I was still in puberty and expected to make big leaps in terms of my strength, my squat just wouldn't go up. I watched other guys my age continue to progress like crazy and I realized I'm not the prodigy I wish to be. And to be honest, that was okay, but I still wanted to break through the plateau, but nothing worked. Over the years, I made several pushes to hit new lifetime PRs with no success. But during that time, I also realized how much I loved the sport. Even though I felt like I was banging my head against the wall, I loved having training as part of my daily routine and still being able to do the weightlifting movements. By the end of studying at 23 years old, I was thinner and weaker than I had been in years, mostly from the stress of my final project. But I wanted to get back at it and finally progress further. And that's when something changed. Through a buddy of mine, I discovered guys like Lane Norton, the barbell medicine guys, and current studies about strength training. And one thing became clear.
Increasing your exposure to volume at the appropriate intensity, 65 to 80%, is necessary for long-term progress.
I simply wasn't doing the right amount of volume at the right intensity to actually get stronger. I think I relied on what I thought I was capable of in terms of volume and intensity. So it was time to shift gears. I ramped up my volume drastically, especially in my weak point, the squat. I was sometimes doing up to 30 sets per week. And after a couple of months, I finally broke through the plateau. The secret was simple: just do more. And once I realized my training gained momentum, I decided to define some lifetime goals. Numbers I'd truly be proud of, but that I had to work hard for. To be honest, they weren't just based on performance, but also on plate aesthetics. 140 is 2 reds and 1 green, 170 is 3 reds, 180 front squat would be 4 blues, and a 220 back squat would be 4 reds. But there are also numbers that, to me, feel like thresholds of being somewhat of an advanced lifter at my body weight of around 88 to 94 kg. I'm so relieved that I now understand what kind of training actually guarantees progress. Maybe it's not the most optimized program where you find the minimum effective volume and stick to it, but I know that if I train, eat and sleep the way I plan, there will be progress and it's no longer guesswork. Over the past 2 years, I worked up to a 130 snatch, a 158 clean and jerk, and a 205 back squat. In the following training block, I power cleaned 135.
Oh yeah, baby!
Snatched 130 off blocks, and front squatted 165 for a double. I was around 93 kg body weight, but unfortunately I got sick. When I recovered, I decided to follow a diet because I ate as much as I could for the last years and was feeling very bloated all the time. Training in a calorie deficit after being sick was miserable. I just called that training block pain. But now I'm almost back to where I was, but with the bonus of being 4 to 5 kilogram lighter. So I maxed out my power movements, and I would say my ratios of powers to full lifts were always at the lower range, what is considered normal. I was pleasantly surprised that I hit 100 so high and even managed to get a 1 kilo PR of 106. But the 110 was a bit too deep to consider power. But I'm always thrilled when I hit a power snatch and it doesn't go into the full squat. I also power cleaned 130 easier than ever. But the 137 attempts, especially the first one, was just a full clean. But the second was again like the 110. I was thrilled that I was able to almost got it, but I wouldn't consider it power. Still a good day though. So unfortunately for a weightlifter, I always had a big problem to get my back and my legs stronger. But if I have one strong point of my body, it's everything pressing. I already overhead pressed 100. And this training I also decided to max out my bench press since I incorporated it in the last training block. And to my surprise, I managed to hit 140 fairly easy. The 145, I think I pressed it too much away from my face. But I didn't bother to try it again. I was already stoked about the 140. I also had a surprisingly good Big Friday. The warm-ups felt great for the snatch. I did 2 waves, the first one up to 120. The second one was supposed to end at 122. But I missed 2 attempts very closely. So I just put 1 kilo more for some extra motivation. I have to say I love exactly attempts like this when you have a good day and you manage to find exactly the weight where it feels like you are doing everything right and you pull the bar as high as you can and you just fit under it.
And I can't get over you, so let me dream, if my dreams can come true.
I didn't have much hope for the clean and jerk session since I'm again ramped up my squat volume very high. But although I also had a big error in the clean again, where the bar crashes on me and I'm not able to stand up immediately.
Won't you let me dream, if my dreams can come true.
I was still able to hit 95% or 150. since I lost a couple of kilograms of my body weight, I wanted to see how that affected my jumping capabilities, and normally I don't train the jump in any way, but when you see Shizi Young, who is quite a bit smaller than me, I wanted to see how far I'm off. And it was actually the first time in my life that I was able to hit the rim, so at least a little success. I know my numbers and my goals are far from international level, but I still want to document these final steps of my journey. And who knows if I will even be able to catch them all. There are so many factors, work, injuries, stress. But right now, I'm just happy to keep on trying.